Hi everyone and welcome back to my channel. It is the 8th of December today. We are well into December. Where has this year gone? I absolutely don't know. I've got the tree up ready for Christmas and also got my Santa Paws Christmas jumper on. Obviously I'm obsessed with cats. You may see these two knocking about on the cat tree behind me. Hopefully they're not too much of a distraction, or maybe they might be entertaining. Yeah. I'm not going to do any sort of Christmas gift guides or anything this year, but I will leave a link to my Amazon store down below, which I've populated with loads of different Christmas lists and stocking stuffers, things for runners, triathletes, cyclists, things like that. So I will link that below. If anyone is interested in any sort of gifts that they can get for Christmas, I'll leave that down there for you. This video, however, is not going to be Christmas related. It's going to be about run streaks, so I'm going to tell you about the positives and the negatives of doing a run streak. I am, I think, 30 something days in now, and obviously if you have seen my previous video, I was 300 days into a run streak, so I think I know about the positives and negatives of a run streak, and some people may be interested in doing it but don't really know what to expect, why you should even do one, and the possible negatives from it. So I'm going to be going through those today. So I am going to start with a little backstory first about my running. So prior to doing my run streak, obviously I'm 30 something days in now, and I was 300 days in before I had to stop before surgery. If you would have seen from my previous video, he's going to be so annoying in the background. Yeah, so prior to that I didn't really have any consistent running, any consistent routine with my running, anything like that. I didn't really enjoy running, I would say. And it almost felt like more of a chore than it did just getting out for the fun of it. I felt like I had to do it for weight loss reasons and not really much else. So that was sort of me prior to my run streak. Now, after doing 300 days and now being another 30 days in, I have seen a lot of positives that have come out of it. I really enjoy running now. I look forward to and have my run streak in as part of my regular routine, and it's part of my schedule. But obviously that is not possible for some people, so I'm going to go through the positives that I've seen, some of the negatives that I've seen through run streaking, and then you can suss out for yourself whether you think that it would be something that you could do too. Obviously it's not for everyone, it also depends on your goals as well, so yeah, let's get to them. I'm going to start with the positives first. So I would say the first one is that you get into a consistent routine. So obviously you're running every day, so you want to try and get that into your schedule somehow. Sometimes you might be busy. For me, my consistent routine is basically that I bike in the morning on a Monday morning, I run home from work on Monday night, and then on Tuesday morning I run to work and I bike back home, and then that's on repeat till Thursday. Then on Friday I work from home, so that's fine, and I can run whenever, usually during my lunch break working from home, and then Saturday, Sunday is just whenever I want to run. So I've already sort of fit it into my routine that way, so it's just about finding whether you can fit it in yourself that way, whether you could incorporate some run commutes, whether it fits into a busy schedule, whether you can run during your lunch breaks, when you can run just in general. I know mothers, fathers, you might struggle with finding the time to get out with your kids. So all of that needs to be taken into consideration as to whether you can have a consistent running routine. The second I found is pushing through mental barriers. I not for one second thought that I was even going to keep up a week of doing run streaking. And it's just about pushing through those mental barriers and believing that you can do it. And the fact that I got to 300 days is just ridiculous. I never in a million years thought I was going to get that far. But yeah, it's all about positive mindset and whether you think that you believe what you can achieve. The third is that you learn to adapt to different situations. By that I mean the weather. So running in the cold, running in the heat, running in the rain, all sorts of weather you learn to run with when you are run streaking, because obviously a run streak is that you run every day, so it's not like you can say, oh, I don't want to run this day because it's raining, etc. I basically go out in all weathers. I've been out when it's been snowing, I've been out when it's torrential rain, when it's been really windy, when it's been absolutely boiling hot outside. You kind of just adapt to all those weather situations, and it really doesn't bother me going out in any of those anymore. I don't sort of look at the weather outside, it's absolutely tipping it down, and I go, no, I don't want to run. It literally doesn't bother me anymore, so I just go out. The third and probably most important for me was to increase my motivation. As I said, prior to this, I wasn't running very often, didn't enjoy running, and I would have pretty regular breaks, I would say, in between running. I'd go from a couple of days to a couple of weeks not running. Now I'm running every day, so yeah, it can massively improve your motivation because you obviously know that you've got to keep up that run streak. And I would set myself goals for what I wanted to achieve, so getting to 100 days. Obviously I had the intention of getting to a year, but I also wanted small goals just in case I didn't achieve that, and it was like 50 days, 100 days, and changing the goals for those days. So I would have, when I got to 100 days, I would up the mileage, and then my minimum would be so much, and when I got to 200 days I'd switch to 2 miles and etc. So I'm always sort of motivating myself that way to have small goals that I want to achieve. There's never been times where I've been like, I really don't want to go out and run. And even so, even if there is that sort of niggle, like I'm really not feeling it today, you know that if you don't go, you lose your run streak, and that really bothers me. So I've never really had or been in that situation where I just can't be bothered running. And if there are days where motivation is slightly dwindling, I know that I can do a mile and cover my minimum distance, so it's not too bad. The next one is that you have that personal satisfaction of achieving goals. So it's kind of leading on from my last one where I obviously set small goals in between, and I've got that big yearly goal in mind at the end. It's a personal satisfaction sort of thing to be running every day, to know that you're getting out there every day and that you're improving yourself. And when you get to those little milestones, and then eventually when I do get to the big milestone, that would be an amazing achievement for me. So that is a positive that keeps spurring me on as well. The next is that you don't really need any special equipment to start a run streak. Basically, if you were already a runner prior to starting a run streak, you don't really need anything more. Maybe you might need to buy some new trainers a bit earlier because of the mileage that you're doing, but other than that, you've already got your running kit, so you don't need to buy anything extra like you would do a new hobby. The last and final positive that I can think of is that it gets rid of your excuses. So you obviously know that you have to do a run streak, you know that you can't take a day off, which means that there can be no excuses. There's no excuses for not having time, for being tired, for not going out because it's raining. All those sort of things I've sort of covered already, but there's no time for excuses when you're doing a run streak. If you want to keep up your streak, you have to go out, whether it's finding the time to get out running. Oftentimes I find that going out for a run does give me more energy, so even though I'm tired, when I go out I come back and I've got a burst of energy, so it's not, not got an excuse there. And obviously skin is waterproof, so when it's raining outside, you've really got no excuse. You can go out, put on a jacket, it's not going to harm you to go out for a quick run in the rain. So yeah, it kind of stamps on those excuses. So that is it for the positives of a run streak that I've personally found while I've been doing mine. The big one being motivation to run, from from not really running much at all and having regular breaks to running consistently every day and enjoying running again is the massive one. Yeah, it speaks for itself for me, but obviously it doesn't for other people, and I'm going to be going through some of the negatives as well, so we'll go through them now. So obviously, like I said, it all depends on you as a runner and you personally and your health and things that are going on in your life as to whether it would be good for you to do a run streak or not. Some of the main reasons that run streaking can be a negative is obviously that you don't have a rest day. So you've got to take into consideration your bigger goals, whether you want to do a marathon, an ultra marathon, anything like that. You obviously have to consider that you won't be able to have a rest day. You do obviously have active recovery days where you do your minimum distance for your run streak and it's super slow, but you don't get that proper rest where you get to rest your legs. So take into the consideration that if you've got bigger goals in mind, although I do know people that have run streak that have done ultras and marathons and got PBs. So it really is dependent on you as a runner and your recovery, how your body recovers. So yeah, that is the first negative of it, is that you might not get proper recovery, and you need to consider whether the bigger goal is that you want to do the run streak or your bigger goal is that you want to do a marathon and get a good time. So you've just got to weigh that out. The second is obviously the stress of having to fit in a run streak. You have to know that you need to keep up your run streak and that you need to fit it in. So if you've got a busy life, if you commute, if you've got kids, things like that, it might be a struggle to fit in your runs, and you might not be able to have that regular routine like I've got. And the stress of knowing that you've got to fit it in but not knowing where you're going to fit it in might not be worthwhile, and mentally it might just not be worthwhile having that stress on you. So you have to take that into consideration too. The next, similarly to another one, with regards to not being able to take a rest day, is that if you get sick, if you're prone to sickness, things like that, when you're sick you can't take a rest day, so you either end your streak or you have to run through it, and sometimes that's not the best idea. Luckily for me, I haven't got sick yet, so it's not been a problem for me, but obviously you have to consider that sickness and injury, you've basically just got to play it by ear. If you feel too sick, if you're too injured, you need to stop your run streak. There's no point in running through it. The third, similarly to how I felt prior to a run streak, obviously again it might be different for other people, but some people might find run streaking a chore rather than something that you enjoy. I find it the complete opposite. It's not really a chore for me anymore, whereas it was before. And some people might not like the idea of just going out every day just to get the miles up. So that is a negative side of it. The last and final point for negatives would be that if you suffer from stress or anxiety, then it's probably not best for you to start a run streak. I did briefly mention the stress before, with you having to try and fit in the run streaks within a busy schedule. Same with anxiety. If you suffer from anxiety, it's probably not the best thing to do a run streak, especially if you're trying to fit it into that busy schedule and knowing that there's the element of failure in there. That's not a good headspace to be in. You want to do a run streak because you enjoy it, because there's a challenge there, but mentally you don't want to have to suffer in other ways. So yeah, you do have to bear it all in mind. Run streaking is no easy feat. Obviously you're running every day, and depending on what your distance would be and your goals and things like that, you have to take a lot of things into consideration as to whether you want to try it. For me, it was just an easy decision for me to make. I was struggling with the motivation to run. I wanted something that I could keep going for a prolonged period of time, maybe when I wasn't doing races. I obviously didn't do races at all this year, so I wanted something to keep me motivated. I didn't have a problem with trying to fit it into my routine. I basically have it locked down to a T for me, but that's not the same for everyone. So you just have to weigh out your options and whether it's going to be something that's got a good idea for you. If anyone else is run streaking, leave comments below if you have any positives, negatives, anything like that, opinions on run streaking below for people to check them out. But yeah, that's it. I hope I've covered most of the positives and negatives, at least in my experience, and the things that I think would affect other people. As I said, I've come leaps and bounds in running since I started my run streak, but that's obviously not going to be the same for other people, and for some people run streaking is the worst idea. So yeah, I'm just putting it out there with the positives and negatives that I've found, to hopefully help people make a decision as to whether you do or do not start one. So that's it. If you like this video, if you found it helpful, give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel to see more content. I will have another video going out next week. Don't forget to check out the link in the description below to my Amazon store to check out the list if you're struggling for what to buy for people for Christmas. But yeah, that's it. I will see you again in my next video. Bye.